WATD presents John Paul, the Car Doctor. All things automotive. Have questions? Call or text 781-837-4900. Now, here's John Paul, the Car Doctor.
And good Sunday morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD. My name's John Paul, the Car Doctor, here to help you with your car problems. Maybe you're thinking about, how you got through the snowstorms we had. Maybe your power is back on. I know our little house got the power finally back on Thursday, which was good. Fortunately, we have an old-timey heater, so the heat stayed on inside the house where neighbors could go to live if they wanted to. But anyway, so weather is here. You hate to say it, but maybe you're thinking about buying a new car, and what a great place to go, of course, is to go to Consumer Reports. And with us on the phone is Mike Quincy. He is an auto writer and tester at Consumer Reports. Mike, good morning, and welcome back to the Car Doctor program.
Good morning, John. Thanks for having me on.
Now, you've been at Consumer Reports has been around since 1936. You've been there almost as long, almost 25 years, right?
Yeah, actually, we're celebrating our 90th anniversary, and I'm old, but I'm not that old. Yeah. But yeah, I started with Consumer Reports in 1993. Took a little sabbatical during the .com craziness of 2000, and then came back in 2001 and at the Consumer Reports test track in Connecticut, and I've been there ever since. So yeah, this May will be 25 years at the track.
And a long time. And let's talk a little bit about what you and Consumer Reports does differently than everybody else does. You guys don't take loaner cars from manufacturers. You buy all of your cars, right?
Correct. All the vehicles in our road test ratings are purchased by Consumer Reports. We don't take advertising. We're not beholden to any companies. So we really do work hard to maintain our independence. We occasionally will borrow a car from a manufacturer just to kind of test it out, but we never actually do empirical testing on a borrowed car. We're kind of looking to see where it might fit into a test program. And just to get some experience with it. But yeah, no, we do buy all of the cars that we test anonymously. And you have a phenomenal test facility in Connecticut. It's like 350 acres or something, right? 327, and the way that I remember that, it's a really good small block Chevrolet V8.
Good point. I was going with the slightly bigger small block. Yeah.
Yeah, no, the 327 works for me. So it's actually the site of the old Connecticut Dragway. Consumer Reports bought this property in the mid-'80s, and we've turned it into a world-class testing facility with handling circuits, straightaways, special lanes devoted to braking tests. A new ADAS loop opened a couple years ago, so we can figure out all the autonomous driving systems that are being offered. And it really is a pretty cool place to work. I'm reminded of myself when I'm typing away at my computer, and I look over my shoulder, and there's the track. So it's a very cool spot.
Yeah, it really sounds. I've only been there once, and that was ages ago. But I need to make a point to try to come back and visit, because especially to see the ADAS test track, where does this stuff work or doesn't it? It's always one of the questions. But Consumer Reports recently came out with the 10 top picks in new cars, trucks, and SUVs, and this time. And I guess it shouldn't be a surprise, but this time every single one of them was some sort of a hybrid, right? Or
EV? Yeah. Actually, for the first time, every top pick is available either as a hybrid, is a hybrid, or available as one, or an electric vehicle. So that's really good for the consumer. I mean, hybrids are not kind of the dorky Priuses that came out in like 2000. They're much, much better. They're so well integrated. They improve the performance in every measure. They're usually quicker. They're quieter. They ride better. And, of course, there's a big boost in fuel economy compared to a non-hybrid version. And almost in every instance, when we're testing a regular version as well as a hybrid, you could think Honda Civic versus Honda Civic Hybrid, Hyundai Santa Fe versus Santa Fe Hybrid. The hybrid versions are almost always better.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, and I keep saying this, and maybe someday I'll stop saying it, but this really is the golden age of the automobile. People can go out and buy, a an EV, a hybrid, a plug-in hybrid, a straight electric car, or a straight gasoline car. So I don't know that there's ever been more choice for consumers than there has been in the last couple of years.
I cannot agree more wholeheartedly, and I'll add to that mix. You can still get a front-engine V8 rear-wheel drive manual transmission Mustang, which makes my heart feel really good. But no, you're right. I mean, you and I grew up at a time when we were told, oh, the 50s were awesome, and the 60s, and the muscle cars, and blah blah blah. Today's cars are so much better than they were in the past.
Yeah, they really are, and it's in fact I just answered a reader or listener question this morning, and they were looking at the Toyota Camry, and the Toyota Camry throws one more little wrench in there. They say, well, you can get an all-wheel drive Camry or a front-wheel drive Camry, but it's a hybrid no matter what. And they're like, well, what's the advantages? What's disadvantages? And I'm like, well, if you live somewhere where it's wet, slippery, or snowy, all-wheel drive, take the, couple miles per gallon cut in fuel economy. And I think there was a $1,500 difference in price. I'm almost surprised, like Subaru did years ago, Toyota just doesn't make every Camry all-wheel drive at this point.
Yeah, correct, because not everyone needs all-wheel drive. People think that all-wheel drive will make you drive faster in snow, and I'm actually looking over my shoulder, and we're getting a little snow here in Connecticut right now. All-wheel drive helps you to get going.
Right.
It doesn't help you stop any faster. It doesn't help you corner any faster. The thing is, that whenever you drive and you in the winter in New England, you see a car that's off the road. Undoubtedly, it's got all-wheel drive, or it's an SUV or something like that. People think they're indestructible if they have all-wheel drive, and truthfully, that the front-wheel drive Camry it will be a perfect car for many people, and
right.
It just so happens to be a Consumer Reports top pick. So there you go. There's your segue.
Yeah. Well, let's go through the picks. So let's start with the and I almost want to say the lowly Honda Civic, but the Civic has been a lot of people's first new car, dependable as can be, and it's a top pick for Consumer Reports.
And it was my first new car in 1987, believe it or not. I bought a little Civic Si, and I thought it was the coolest car ever. The new Civic, though, blows the doors off of my old one. 44 miles per gallon overall in Consumer Reports testing for the hybrid model. We have a podcast called Talking Cars, and we did a year-end edition where everyone on the staff got to talk about their favorite cars of that test year, and the Civic kept coming up. I love the Civic because it's not a boring economy car. It has really engaging steering and handling. The braking systems are great. The standard safety features are incredible, and again, that fuel economy is just impossible to beat.
Yeah, it really is. And then Subaru kind of had two up on this. They had the Crosstrek and the Forester, both great vehicles, and it's kind of amazing how the Forester has kind of grown up over the years too.
It absolutely has, and the best news, if you're a Forester fan, is that there's now a hybrid model which returned 34 miles per gallon overall in Consumer Reports testing. The Forester and the Crosstrek, and as we mentioned, the Camry and the Civic are examples of how you can get an excellent car. All these models are Consumer Reports top pick, and you put it in context of the average price of a new car is around $50,000, and all of these are base priced like 40 or lower. So that's really good news. I love the Forester mainly because the visibility is incredible. It's easy to get in and out of. If you're dealing with aging parents that need a car, the Forester is almost always our go-to model. Because the visibility is great, because access is easy, because controls are easy. But even if you're not a senior, it's still a great car.
Yeah, it really is, and I think historically, Subaru's had a couple of bumps in the roads, but every year they seem to be getting better and more reliable, and just becomes like you said, it's an easy car to recommend for a variety of different people, whether it's somebody going to college for the first time and they want something reliable that's not going to break down, or like you pointed out, a car that gives you good visibility, easy to get in and out of, and really good fuel economy. Let's go down to the Toyota Grand Highlander, which I've always been a fan of the Highlander. When the Grand Highlander came out, I'm like, did they really need to make the Highlander a little bit bigger? But once I drove it, I was like, they thought this one through a little bit.
Yeah, and I keep coming back to this because I think it's always relevant is the fuel economy. So the Grand Highlander is a 3-row SUV, 35 miles per gallon overall in Consumer Reports test, which is pretty impressive for a 3-row vehicle. You're getting the usual Toyota excellent reliability. The ride is good. The controls are super easy. It is a prototypical family vehicle. A lot of families need extra room for carpooling and kids stuff and all that. Not garbage, but my kids aren't young anymore, so I'm kind of blowing it off. But for families with young kids, this car makes a lot of sense.
It really does. And in the luxury category, and again, kind of, the average price of the new vehicles today are in the right around $50,000. At what point do you think the American public's just going to say, cars are too expensive?
No, I think they're already saying it because of the demand for used cars.
Yeah.
So I think that's your answer right there. But listen, the Lexus NX is one of those vehicles where, let's say you've been working hard your whole life and you want to treat yourself to something a little bit more luxurious, and the NX has a beautiful interior, as most Lexus models do. 38 miles per gallon overall in Consumer Reports testing for the hybrid model, which is outstanding. A great cruising range. The NX is a vehicle that I would definitely can see treating myself if I ever go after that retirement way of thinking, which might happen one of these days.
But not the BMW X5?
Well, the X5 is also a very, very nice choice. However, it is priced between $68,000 and $76,000.
Right.
And I need to remind you and all of your listeners that I work for a nonprofit organization, so my retirement account isn't quite that chonky. But if yours is, definitely treat yourself to the X5. We tested the last model we tested was a plug-in hybrid version. It gives you 39 miles of all-electric range, and then it just reverts to a regular hybrid model. The X5 is very luxurious. It's comfortable. It's quiet. It's super fast. It handles like you'd expect with BMW to handle, which is really precise, very satisfying to drive. A very, very nice car.
And one of my favorite vehicles is on your list, the Ford Maverick pickup truck. Although I did cringe a little bit at the Maverick name when it first came out, I've sort of adapted to it now. But it's a great little truck.
Yeah, you and I remember the original Ford Maverick, which was kind of a junky little coupe and sedan back in the 70s. I think they left the factory already rusted, but by God, the Maverick is one of those rare vehicles. It's a small pickup truck. People go on and on about huge pickup trucks, and they're the largest selling type of vehicle in the United States. But not everybody needs a hulking 1500 series truck. So check out the Maverick, 37 miles per gallon overall from the hybrid model in Consumer Reports testing. It has super simple controls. This is a model that's really easy to live with as long as you don't need to haul a really heavy trailer.
Right. I remember when they first came out, and it was the hybrid only front wheel drive version, and you could buy it for like $20,000, and I put my name on a list, and they're like, "Yeah, good luck."
Yeah, so, yeah. No, you're right. This was a super popular, hard to get model.
Yeah. And you're right. For somebody who's not hauling heavy stuff around, but they need the versatility of a truck, and for how many years have people like you and I been saying, harken back to the original small Toyota pickups or the small Nissan pickups, and how seemingly practical they were. And now when you do see one that's 30 years old, you're like, what a great little truck that was. And, you look at the Maverick and go, here's a great little truck that also you can stick 4 people in it if you need to.
Yeah, I just got back from visiting my brother in Santa Barbara, California, and those little, rear-wheel drive, regular cab pickup trucks are all over the place because, they didn't rust out there. But, yeah, I do have fond memories of small pickup trucks. Most of the world has small pickup trucks, so I'm glad that Ford is sticking with the Maverick and not making this thing ultra-huge.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of ultra-huge, though, the F-150.
Yeah, this is actually one of the biggest stories of Consumer Reports' top picks is that the F-150, after its last redesign, had real reliability issues, especially the hybrid model. But Ford looked at their warranty data and looked at their problems, and they made it better. Ford improved the reliability of the F-150 good enough so that it is a Consumer Reports top pick. Again, the hybrid model is the crown jewel of the F-150 line, about 20 miles per gallon overall in Consumer Reports testing, which is outstanding for a full-size pickup truck. And get this, a 600-mile cruising range. I'm a road trip junkie, so this vehicle totally speaks to me. I'm really glad that Ford has improved the reliability of the F-150 because it has made this truck, for the first time in years, a full-sized pickup truck is reliable enough to be on our top picks list. So hats off to Ford.
Yeah, and something that wasn't reliable when it first came out was like the Tesla Model 3 and then the Model Y, but the Model Y's on the list, and I really like the Model Y a lot.
Just like Ford, Tesla looked at their reliability issues and made improvements. And that's what Consumer Reports likes to see when manufacturers are actually looking at their problems. Instead of ignoring them or trying to shoot the messenger, they're going back to the drawing board and saying, okay, how can we fix this? How can we make it better? And Tesla has absolutely done that with the Model Y. It is among the most reliable EVs out there. 331-mile cruising range, assuming you're not driving it in the winter. But listen, if you're going to go electric, check out the Model Y because it really did well in Consumer Reports testing.
Yeah, it really did. And it's not just reliability and price and fuel economy. It's also about safety ratings. And although not on your list, Mazda's doing extraordinarily well with their safety ratings, aren't they?
Exactly. I mean, when you think about how much safety you can afford, that's always been Consumer Reports' message, is that you want to get the most safety features, especially if you have a young, inexperienced driver in your house. And we have a new Consumer Reports safety verdict, which looks at vehicle safety beyond just crash test. I mean, handling, braking, simple controls that don't distract you are also a big part of safety. And when you combine all of those things, Mazda has really come out to be one of the one of the safest manufacturers on Consumer Reports safety verdict. When you think about something small, the Mazda CX-30, a little bit bigger, the Mazda CX-50. These are vehicles that did well in Consumer Reports testing. They're reliable, and they're full of safety features.
And do you think it's because, in kind of relative terms, Mazda's a small company that makes small incremental improvements? Yeah,
absolutely, because they can't revamp their product line, top to bottom every year. I will say, in full disclosure, they have done some updated models like the CX-70 and CX-90, and they started dipping their toe into plug-in hybrids, and those are the issues that Mazda now has to deal with, as those two models did not do well in Consumer Reports reliability ratings. But knowing Mazda, they're not just going to sit back and let a lousy design kind of just fester. They're going to fix it. They're going to find out what's wrong. I have a lot of faith in Mazda. I think they make a number of really good products. And you're right, they are smaller. They're leaner. They can pivot and make changes pretty quickly. And they have a lot of impressive vehicles. We can't talk about Mazda without not mentioning the Miata, which is one of my favorite sport cars of all time.
Dependable, handles great. It has the ability to add on, aftermarket accessories if you want more power, more sound, more whatever. You're right. Been around since time began. I think people that don't know any better, probably think of the Miata as I think of like an MGB. It's like the original sports car.
Yeah, that's the vision that Mazda had, because coming out of the 70s and 80s when the sports cars mostly came from the UK, and they were they were miserable, or Italy, and they rusted and they weren't reliable. Ma's like, well, what if we took that premise and just made them a lot more reliable? And that was the birth of the Miata. I think it was 1989 or 90 when they first debuted. And I've honestly driven every generation of Miatas, and they have never failed to put a smile on my face.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a fun car to drive. If people want to find out more information about the safety verdict rating system or the top tens, consumerreports.org, right?
ConsumerReports.org. We're .org, not a .com. And believe it or not, we still produce magazines. So if you ever shuffle by a newsstand, check out the March-April issue of Consumer Reports. It has a bright red Mazda 3 on a cover. And so if you like to hold information like in paper form, then that's available. But definitely check out our website. We work really hard to keep it updated and keep it lively and keep it interesting. And honestly, nobody tests cars like Consumer Reports does.
And it's I remember years and years ago when I met the folks from Consumer Reports, and people called people in your job kind of white coated toaster testers, which you guys embraced at the time. I remember seeing a bunch of toasters sitting on the start of a road test track. But you have a lot of depth in your life too. You were ahead of the curve. In fact, ahead of Taylor Swift. You're a bread baker, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. During COVID, I definitely got into baking bread, cookies, and whatnot. It was a way to kind of stay amused with being domestically confined, and a number of people on Facebook got into it. We created this thing we called it Bread Wars, and it was just a tongue-in-cheek look at who can outdo each other with their baking prowess.
So did Taylor Swift ever share her sourdough recipe, or?
Not now. Not at this point. I don't think she has my number, but that's okay.
and also for people that have been out shoveling snow or their power just came back on, can you recommend a good evening cocktail?
Well, sure, I would love to. I think a good evening cocktail in the winter probably is one based on bourbon. I'm a big fan of this of a drink called the Boulevardier, which combines Campari, sweet vermouth, and bourbon, and kind of chill it and then put it over ice, and it'll warm your soul and probably solve any problem that you're dealing with.
There you go. And I'm not a big Campari person, but maybe mixed together it does blend nicely.
Oh yeah, I would never drink Campari straight. It's this very bitter Italian aperitif, but you combine it with these other things, and the drink is just magical.
Well, it sounds great. So for those of you that are still shoveling out and cleaning up your driveways and sidewalks and steps, there's a good hint for you for later in the evening to relax a little bit and let your muscles unwind and maybe your mind at the same time. So
that's
perfect.
Right. You burn your calories shoveling the snow, and then you reward yourself with a really nice drink.
There you go. Mike, always a pleasure talking to you, always informative. Stay safe out there, and we'll talk to you again soon, I hope.
Thanks so much for having me on.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Take care. Mike Quincy, auto tester for Consumer Reports, been there for almost 25 years now. Very knowledgeable guy, nice guy to talk to, and also big charity guy. He bike rides the Pan Mass Challenge. I donated a little. I don't have a lot of money to donate for those kind of things, but I donated a little money to him. Just a good guy and always fun to talk to. And how can you go wrong? We need to take a break, pay some bills. My name's John Paul. This is a Car Doctor program. If you want to give us a call about your car problems, whatever's on your mind, give us a call at 781-837-4900, 781-837-4900. Phone lines are open. Jesse's just waiting to talk to you. We'll be right back after these messages.
Even car geeks and do-it-yourselfers rely on AAA to give them extra peace of mind on the road. AAA offers 24/7 roadside assistance, whether you're in your own vehicle, a friend's car, or even a rental. Combine that with great rates on insurance, hotel, gas, and dining savings, and discounts on 8,700 brands, and you're covered on and off the road. Get a special membership offer today at aaa.com/join. That's aaa.com/join.
Won't you step into the light?
Hi, I'm Dan Chauvin. Step into the light and tune into Twilight Showcase Radio, hosted by Sandy Stride and Keith James on 95.9 WATD and 95.9WATD.com. Search for Twilight Showcase on Facebook and visit twilightshowcase.org.
Twilight Showcase, tonight from 8 to 10 on 95.9 WATD. Make an appointment Sunday morning at 11 for John Paul, the Car Doctor, on 95.9 WATD. Now, back to the Car Doctor.
And our phone number is 781-837-4900, 781-837-4900. We have a couple lines open if you want to join us, but right now let's talk to Wayne from Weymouth. Wayne, good morning.
Well, good morning. How are you?
Good.
Good. I have a 2017 Dodge Ram pickup, quad cab, four-wheel drive.
Yep.
The park brake, if I apply the park brake, which I constantly use, it does not hold. Is it the old school cable type, or is there a mini caliper in the rear? I had the brakes down front and rear. The front was a complete overhaul. It was rotors, pads, and disc, and the back was just rotors and pads. And I thought maybe it would be working by now, but I bought it used, 3 years old with low miles. I love the truck, but I like to use the park brake and it will not hold. Is it cable style on that?
Well, they're always cable style one way or another, I guess, because
okay. Mm-hmm.
what happens is it's there's different types of parking brakes. Some actually do use the caliper and just squeezes the pads together. Others, and yours, your parking brake is got little brake shoes under the brake rotor.
Oh, okay.
So they may be just out of adjustment, or maybe they're all glazed up or something like that. But yours, yeah, the even all of these, newer cars that have push button parking brakes, really all that is an electric motor that winds a cable. It has something to do with federal motor vehicle safety standards and how parking brakes work. Excuse me. But it is but yeah, on your particular vehicle, on a four-wheel drive Ram pickup, it's just the inside of the brake rotor is like a brake drum. And then under that is a set of brake shoes, and the cables just go to the brake shoes. And it does have an adjustment on it. So it could very well be that when you have the brakes done, the rear emergency brake shoes just aren't doing what they're supposed to do anymore. Okay,
that's what it must be. I kept thinking it was like the calipers with the slide pins and all that, but I don't think that's exactly what... Yeah. That's okay.
Yep.
So there could be an adjustment, like you said, or they could be.
Yeah, it could be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, is it possible the cable is stretched, or the tension isn't right, or something? Yeah, that's possible. But it's it is possible to adjust it. So I'd go back to whoever did your brakes and just say, hey, look, the parking brake's not holding. Can you look at make sure the parking brake and the parking brake shoes literally last forever, because unless you've driven with the parking brake on and you forgot, they don't get any real wear. But they can get, somebody who doesn't use the parking brake a whole heck of a lot, they can get rust that builds up in there, and you go to use it, and they're just not going to hold tight. So, I would go back to whoever did it and ask them, and they may just snug up the cable a little bit and call it a day.
Okay. Well, that's great, because that's a concern of mine, because I like using park brakes. I think that's what they're there for. You should use them,
Well, and you actually called it the right term. It, a lot of people call it an emergency brake. It doesn't. It wasn't really ever designed to work well in the case of an emergency. It's really designed to hold the car in park when you're stopped. So whether you're, whether you're, backing up a trailer and you want to lock the truck in place, and the lawyers will tell you that anytime you put a vehicle in park, you should put the parking brake on, because it could be that time the park doesn't hold the way it should, and that's what the brakes are for. So, yep.
Exactly. Yep, I didn't realize that. I bought the truck with low miles, and I always used it, but I thought it was doing the trick until one day I left and I heard the little beeping noise, and I saw the light on the dash. I said, "Oh my God, the brake!" But it was probably too late to go back with the dealership. But,
right. I just have them take a look, make sure everything's okay. If the shoes are glazed up, maybe they'll just clean them up a little bit. If not, maybe they're just going to tighten up the cable and call it a day.
All right, well, terrific.
Okay.
Well, thanks for information. Very good.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye now. Bye.
781-837-4900, 781-837-4900 is our number if you want to get through and give us a call. Let's talk to Anne-Marie in Marshfield. Anne-Marie?
Hello, Car Doctor. I have a question. So I have a 24 Honda HRV.
Okay.
So when I bought the car, I went on the expressway to Gloucester, and coming home at night, there was construction, and there was like 2 sets of markings on the road. Well, unbeknownst to me, this car was aggressive. It wanted to go on the old lines on the expressway, and it was a miracle I made it home that night. So, long story short, I had that part of this car disengaged, so supposedly it doesn't do it anymore. Mm-hmm. And I Googled it, and I told the dealership all about it, and I think there was some recall, but I don't know if it had anything to do with that. So since then, it has affected me so badly that I don't trust this car, but I can't sell it now and get rid of it because of that. So I don't trust the car. Have you heard anything about this? And
other than your vehicle has something called lane keeping assist, I think is probably what Honda calls it. And the idea is it looks at the, lane line, and it tries to keep you in the lane because it's got electric power steering, and it can actually make the steering wheel turn a little bit or else force you you want to go in the lane, and it's looking at the other thing. I haven't heard of any kind of defect with it. What I would do, because I find it annoying when I drive a car with lane keeping assistance or lane keeping warning, I usually just reach over and find the button to shut it off.
It is off, but it left me PTSD about it because I don't trust it. I don't know.
Yeah, once you have it turned off, it should be off until you restart the car and turn it back on. Yeah. So it shouldn't be a problem. It shouldn't be a problem as long as you shut it off. I think that also might have something called like traffic jam assist or something, which doesn't do that much, but it does. It works with the lane keeping assistance. But if it's I would just personally I would just shut it off. I would just hit the button and shut it off whenever you get in the car. I don't find it as bad. Somebody I worked with had a brand new, might have been a Chevy Suburban, and he was absolutely convinced there was something wrong with the steering. And he's like, I'll go to change lanes and I'll go to do this, and it just forces me the other way. And I went out for a ride with him, and I said, well, yeah, because in this case, he was actually trying to change lanes, but he was a typical Massachusetts driver that, I'll pick on Massachusetts drivers, didn't use their turn signal. And he's like, I can't, look, the steering wheel's stuck. I can't change lanes. And I'm like, well, put the blinker on. And he goes, oh, yeah, now it changes lanes. And it did the same thing. It was forcing him in. It was forcing him into a lane he didn't want to be in. But, yeah, I would just shut it off, and I think you'll be fine.
Right.
I think you'll be fine.
You,
all right. Okay, take care, Anne-Marie. Bye-bye. Our phone number, 781-837-4900. It sounded like Anne-Marie was calling from her car at the same time. So somebody just wrote to me and said, I'm looking into a new electric vehicle, possibly to replace my 2016 Chevrolet Bolt, which I enjoyed owning since new. I like the Bolt, although I like the Volt. The Volt was the gasoline version it was sort of weird. It was a gasoline generator that basically charged the battery that ran the electric motor. I thought it was kind of an interesting idea. They did away with that. I like the design of it. I have a soft spot in my heart for hatchbacks, and I like the idea it was a hatchback and it gets crazy gas mileage and would run on electricity up to 60 miles an hour for, I don't know, 50 miles or something. Then the gasoline engine would kick in. I just liked it. But anyway, in 2016, when he bought his Chevrolet Volt, he got a Bosch Power Max Level 2 charging station installed in his garage. It's a 220-volt unit with 16 amps of power output. Would I be able to use the same charging unit on a brand-new electric vehicle now 10 years later? Yes. Although 16 amp output is a little on the low side these days, but it will work. The other thing, depending on what kind of car you buy, you may have to get an adapter to go from the plug that you have, the level 2 charging plug you have that is compatible with your Chevrolet Volt. And if you go to that North American charging standard that is basically the Tesla style, you might have to get an adapter to go between the two. I think depending on how big the battery is in the new vehicle you're looking at, you may just find, that 6 or 8 hours of overnight charging might not be quite enough to recharge the vehicle when you're when it's fully discharged. You may have to go a little bit longer than just that plug it in at night, and when you get up in the morning it's fully charged. But chances are it's going to be okay. So I haven't looked up the specifications of the Bosch Power Max thing, but I would assume 16 amps of power output should be fine. Way better than, see, at 110 volts you're probably only getting about 2, maybe 3 amps of power output, so you're charging up way faster than a regular plug-in 110 volt outlet that you're running normal appliances on. Let's see, somebody else, somebody said to me they have a 2008 Toyota Corolla and there's no power for whatever reason. Sounds like the battery's dead. And they're trying to shift into neutral so they can move the vehicle just a little bit out of the way, I guess. And they said there's a black button near the shifter. I still can't shift to neutral. In 2008, and this is where I had to look in, my first go-to, I have All Data. I use Mitchell. I use Motor a little bit, not as much because I'm more familiar with the other two, although I will admit I kind of like Motor better than Mitchell sometimes. But my Icon T10 scan tool came with a Motor subscription for 2 years. And but anyway, where do I go first? Owner's manual. When I don't know something that should be relatively simple, like what do you do to shift this into neutral, I look in the owner's manual. And the owner's manual's pretty much, in this particular case, when I looked it up about 45 minutes ago, looked it up, that's not a button, that's a cover. So it looks like a button, but it's not a cover. So you take a little flat blade screwdriver and you pry that off. Then under there's a button. And then you take the key or your finger or something and stick it down in that little hole, and then you can release the shifter and put it in neutral so you can roll the vehicle. So whenever I'm in doubt, I go to the owner's manual. And that can be the case with a variety of different things, whether it's maintenance, fuse locations sometimes. The owner's manual sometimes will do a better job of telling you what the fuse number is than some of these other systems that have diagrams and all this other stuff. So owner's manual first, a good place to go. And if we were supposed to, a couple weeks ago, we were supposed to talk to a company that had repair data that would be available for a variety of reasons. And it could be that, similar to, I guess, something like All Data, but a little bit more affordable. And I don't know what happened to them. They were supposed to call in back a while ago, and never heard from them. Don't know what happened to them, so I don't know. But I also stumbled across a company that had some car-related information where you could find repair manuals and that sort of thing, and it's not perfect, but in a lot of cases it's fairly inexpensive, and it's actually free. It's not inexpensive. So we'll come up with that. While I'm talking here, being silly, I just said, well, I can find this right away. Well, I guess I can't find it right away. But I have used it for. It's only up till 2013, but it goes into a lot of older vehicles, which is kind of nice, where you can find some of it, and it is called Charm. So it's https:// which sometimes you, depending on your computer system, you still have to use the HTTPS thing, but it's called Charm, CHARM.LI, and it has service manuals. And for instance, if I wanted to, look up something on a older GMC, say like a 2000 GMC something or other, pickup or something, I wanted some information about the 5.3 liter engine, it has repair and diagnosis information in there, starting and charging stuff, diagram specifications, and it's called and it really, I don't know who put it together. It doesn't seem to. It doesn't. My antivirus program doesn't seem to kick it out as any kind of problems. It has testing for trouble codes, diagnostic trouble code descriptions. I just happen to be looking up this, 2000, 1500 GMC pickup truck. It has body codes, all the various descriptions, what different things mean, everything from a code that has something to do with a wheel sensor that dropped out, all kinds of different stuff in there. So for free, it's charm.li. And if you're kind of a do-it-yourselfer, you might want to look at that. I was going to give away, last week, if you remember, we talked to our friend from Wax Oil about Ken Lemoyne, which he started a podcast, by the way. He said he was going to, but he started a podcast, Behind the Garage Door, I think it's called. But he is also the executive director of the Bay State Motor Festival, which is going to be taking place on Father's Day. And he was generous enough to offer up a kind of DIY kit of wax oil. I was going to give it away today, but I think I'm going to wait till next week. I just think it might be better to wait till next week, and we'll kind of go from there. And we'll see about giving it away. If you're somebody who is doing a restoration of an old car, and you've cleaned up the frame, and maybe you've taken a wire brush to it, not a rotisserie restoration, or maybe you did, and you want to try to preserve what's there. The wax oil product is got two different parts. It's the one that does cracks and crevices, so it's sort of a misty sort of stuff that doesn't clog up drain holes. And then the rubber, I shouldn't use the term rubberized, but the other undercoating, the thicker undercoating that locks in, it dissipates any moisture and then locks in the body to keep rust from happening. I have used it. My daily driver car had an issue with the rear suspension that was supposed to get rusty or something, and I did my wife's Volkswagen with wax oil to try it when I got some, and then I had about a can left. I think I probably didn't put it heavy enough on the other car, and I just did all the rear suspension components just because. And when I got the notice in the mail about some vehicles, if you live in the Northeast, could suffer from some rust, I crawled under there and looked at it, and it still looked the same way it did when I got it and sprayed it. So I'm a believer in wax oil. I think it does a good job. It's sort of one and done. You do it once, and that's all you have to do. Maybe you want to look at it a few years later and touch it up if you think you need to, but I think it does a good job. Our phone number, 781-837-4900, 781-837-4900. Why don't we take another break, pay some bills? My name's John Paul. This is the Car Doctor program. Phone lines are open if you would like to join us at 781-837-4900. We'll be right back.
Even car geeks and do-it-yourselfers rely on AAA to give them extra peace of mind on the road. AAA offers 24/7 roadside assistance, whether you're in your own vehicle, a friend's car, or even a rental. Combine that with great rates on insurance, hotel, gas, and dining savings, and discounts on 8,700 brands, and you're covered on and off the road. Get a special membership offer today at AAA.com/join. That's AAA.com/join.
Hello, Chris Bethany of Bethany Builders here. You want us to build your new deck project? Sophia Bethany, let's go. From design to job completion, Bethany Builders has got you covered. The South Shore's #1 dad-daughter duo is ready to build with you. Just give us a call at 781-898-8018. You can find us on the web at BethanyBuilders.com, Facebook, and check out our projects on YouTube. Bethany Builders is fully licensed, registered, and insured. Call us today for your free estimate.
Hey there, folks. It's Quinn Kelly reminding you to tune in Sunday night at 5 for the South Shore's first voice in sports talk radio, The Sports Exchange. Unmatched coverage of local high school action as well as a relatable voice on all things Boston Pro Sports. We've got you covered live at 5 every Sunday night. Have a question for our host, missed last week's show, or just want to share a great sports story? You can find us on Twitter at SE on WATD. But remember, mark your calendar, folks, and we'll see you Sunday night at 5 for The Sports Exchange on 95.9 WATD.
Honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. He's John Paul, the Car Doctor, on 95.9 WATD.
And welcome back to the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD, your South Shore radio station, where you can listen to anywhere in the world. Just tell your smart speaker you want to listen to WATD, and magically it just happens. And we were actually off the air for a couple days, and the stream held together so people could listen on the stream rather than on the radio because there was transmitter problems. But by Larry and team, I guess, got the transmitter up and running just the way it should be. So there we go. Let's talk to John in Norwood. John?
Hi, John. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. My girlfriend's 2013 Civic. That maintenance minder that's in her car, it's showing a coolant message. You know if that car, does it monitor the coolant for miles or time or degradation? What is that?
No, not degradation. It's making a degradation assumption based on time and mileage. Okay. And it also, and I'm not even going to pretend to know how Honda does it on that year car. But what happens sometimes, it looks at temperature. It looks at how often you start the car, how long the car runs for. But if you're getting a coolant, if you're getting whatever it is, number 3 that pops up that says service the cooling system, it probably just means it's time for a flush and a refill.
Okay, and that
unless it's been done, and then no one ever reset the maintenance minder. So,
I guess that's my question. The maintenance minder, is the thing so primitive that it seems like it's given, at one point this week, it was given like 4 different messages.
Yeah.
Air, which I replaced, tells you how much oil life is left. It had a coolant.
Right.
And also, when it was real cold, the tire pressure system.
Yep.
But when you reset that, it doesn't let you reset individual items in that list, right? It's like all or nothing.
No, it's all or nothing, because what happens is if it was just the oil reminder and you hit reset, it would reset the oil reminder. If the maintenance reminder came up for coolant and you hit the reset, it actually resets that. So it doesn't. It's not like you went in and there was a menu and you go, okay, I want to reset the brake fluid, the coolant, but not the transmission fluid because I didn't do that. It's not smart enough to know how to do that. It just resets based on the reminder that pops up. That's the way the folks from Honda explained it to me. So
So if it's got four things, basically, even if I'm just trying to get rid of the coolant, I'm going to reset the oil to 100%, even though I haven't done an oil change.
Yeah. If it has an oil change reminder coming up right now.
No.
It should hold. If you hit the reset button, it should remember the last time you reset that for the oil. It should, whether it really does or not, I don't know. Yeah, but that's the way it's supposed to work. That when you go in and do it, it's supposed to it resets the reminder that comes up, but doesn't reset all of them. Now, if it came up time for an oil change, time for a coolant flush, and you hit the reset button, it would do both. But if you now, in theory at least, if you hit the reset button now, it's going to clear the coolant one off. And still, when you went to go back and looked at percent of, oil life left, that still should hold in place. I think. I say with some skepticism, but that's the way, because I asked the same question, and I went to one of the Honda guys and said, hey, in this particular vehicle, when you reset that, does it reset everything? And they told me, no, that wasn't the case. It does it this way. And so I said, okay, well, I'll believe you then. So I did. So, does
the oil drive off of it? Is it monitoring oil quality, or is it just
No. The only vehicle I've ever seen that monitored oil quality was Mercedes, and they weren't really. And I don't want to say they were really monitoring oil quality. What they were really doing, they had a sensor in the oil pan that would look at moisture content. So it kind of was, but it wasn't like it really did that much. So, but yeah, when you go in and reset things, it should just, I think on yours. Now, you said yours is 2013.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Year-old.
Yeah, and it probably came up maintenance symbol B, maybe.
Well, it actually says coolant.
Yeah.
But I think it does put a letter next to them, like.
Yeah.
Maybe that was more just counting them down,
Yeah. Because. Yeah. I mean, it was. I mean, it was. There was a time where the vehicle manufacturers would go in and they'd do this. They'd look at the maintenance minder, and then they'd come back and they'd go, well, if you don't believe the maintenance minder, we'll come in and do a chart that give you kind of the same idea. And when they used to do that, coolant was supposed to be replaced at 120,000 miles. Now, if you drove an average of, 10,000 miles a year or 12,000 miles a year, 10, 15 years old, somewhere in that range. So it's probably just coming up with time and miles, and looking at both, it says, what I'm looking at this comparison, and it's kind of funny. Honda did away with the comparison part after a while, but it came up, right at when I looked it up, right at 120,000 miles is when, if you didn't go by the maintenance minder, that's when they wanted you to change the coolant. So, and again, if you kind of did 12,000 miles a year, 10, 12 years, somewhere in there, it's time to change it. If it was changed 5 years ago, fantastic. But if it wasn't, it's probably time to at least check the coolant level, make sure it's full, check the condition, see what it looks like, and probably not bad time at this juncture in life to, at least do a drain and refill.
Yeah, I mean, I've done that in the past, and I've used the Honda coolant because I think they really
Honda is really fussy about a lot of stuff. Honda transmission fluid, mandatory. Coolant, pretty mandatory. They're a little bit more flexible on the coolant, but it's still not a terrible idea to use it. And it doesn't, if
and
you
in
just
that
do
car,
it.
the reserve tank is like down a big long neck to the bottom, so you really can't even see it. I think without getting under the car because
Right. Yeah,
the
the coolant reservoir there takes, I don't know, I think it takes a little bit more than a quart. So there's quite a bit that goes in there. So, but and I think if you just do a drain and refill, probably 1.5 gallons is probably all you're going to use. So, and that's premixed, or get the full strength and mix it half and half. You'll be good to go.
All right.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Well, that music created by Jesse means it's time for us to go. So until next week, make sure you wear your seatbelt, drive safely, be good to your car, and if you do see an emergency vehicle by the side of the road, slow down or move over. It saves lives. Talk to you all next week. Bye-bye.